based on what I'm reading, I'm not sure. All I know is some people don't have internet, and the moisture sensing systems, though they're good, I think they're a maintenance problem, okay, over the years. And so I'm struggling with that. And the last thing I'll say is these two things kind of point at the question of, is it really marginal cost difference between a standard controller and a smart controller? I have a standard, but it's not connected to the internet, okay? And I don't want it to be, but I can connect it to my phone via whatever, Wi-Fi, okay? So I'm a practical conservative. I don't use herbicides. I take dandelions by hand and natural approaches, okay? I support the basic tenets of these things and appreciate those who are trying to draft ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Laureen Starkey, and I live at the same address, 573 South, 350 East, and that's my test to see if I can get my right address. I wanted to say thank you to our pastor for the wonderful prayer, because I love the words counsel and unity, and I just believe in it. I remember when my husband was a missionary, and there was a brand new one, and he said, "You mean you want to know what I think?" And he was brand new, and he had, yes, there's light scattered among us, so I'm thanking you for that. I'm listening to some of my neighbors, and the big thing that I got from reading the 10 pages that my husband, I wouldn't have read them, except that he printed them out and we looked at them. And I just think about the word shall, namely when I went to the Old Testament class where they said, well, most of our laws in the United States are patterned after the 10 Commandments, or the Judeo-Christian idea that God doesn't say you have to love him. He just says you can't cut off your neighbor's fingers, and you can't do this and you can't do that. You need to be respectful, but they tell you what you can't do, and then you have to choose what you do. And I will plant perennials. I will plant, I will follow those rules, but the idea that I have to is a little bit challenging to me, because I feel like that maybe that some of these choices should be individual, and that they should be to an individual's conscience. And I also think that it's a little bit challenging when we have it automated, and so that you don't get a choice, when maybe there are choices that do need to be made by the individuals. Although there will be some individuals that make incorrect choices that do affect all of us, and I do understand that, and I respect the need to have a law to preserve water, or to do what we can to make our community something that is desirable. I also am very grateful for the interaction that each one of you have given us, and that's one of the things that heartened me when I heard about our new city manager, is that he cares about the residents. I'm hoping that's true. I think that is what really matters in a vibrant community, that they have people that listen. So I wanted to thank you for doing that listening, and I want to encourage us to carefully think before we put the smart things in, because maybe we want to be smart as well as our machines, and maybe look at the language about shall as maybe, I like the word highly recommended, so that people can choose. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to presentations and awards. I have a proclamation first that I will read for National Police Week. Okay, whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed the first proclamation recognizing May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Kaysville City Police Department work tirelessly and courageously to protect and serve citizens across the city, enforce our laws, and keep our neighborhoods, schools, and families safe. Whereas police officers report for duty, aware of the sacrifices they may be called upon to make and risk their lives each and every day in order to safeguard the public and enforce the laws of our city and state. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude for the dedicated service and reflect upon the selfless dedication and bravery of our local, state, and other public sector police, as our safety and well-being is promoted by their devotion to maintaining peace and security in our communities. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Tamara Tran, along with the Kaysville City Council, do call upon all citizens of Kaysville City to observe the week of May 14th through the 20th, 2023, as Police Week, and join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their community and have established an enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of citizens. Therefore, we do further call upon all citizens to observe May 15th, 2023, as Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of those who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice to their community or have become disabled in performance of duty. And let us recognize the sacrifices made by the families of those officers and the families of those who continue to protect and serve our communities. In witness whereof, I have caused the seal of the city of Kaysville City to be affixed on this day, the 4th of May, 2023. Thank you. Our police chief, Chief Oberg, is here, and take back to your department our appreciation and our true love for all that you do for us. Thank you. Okay, now we have a presentation to the graduating Kaysville Youth City Council members that have served. I'll turn the time over to Council Member John Adams.
Yeah, just so that everybody knows, these youth city council members are the cat's meow. They are just awesome. These guys come here, bi-monthly. Oftentimes they meet, they have similar type meetings, they discuss, they debate, but also they serve, and they serve our community like nobody other. I love them. I'm sorry a couple of them are leaving that I've grown close to. I have to say that Linda is probably like the absolute rock star, and 1,000 round of applause for her and what she does for our community. I get teary thinking about it. These guys got the governor to tell jokes that they told in a meeting of 600 people. Mm-hmm. That's the type of endearing. They got him to do a be real. I say it like I don't even know what be real, but that's just the kind of charisma that they have and how they represent our city. And so these are the seniors that are graduating, and I'm going to read their names, and then everybody. Maybe what we'll do is have you come up, take it, and just stay up here. I think we have two here, but we're going to read all of them because some of them are busy this evening. So we're going to start. I think Lindsay Jepson. She's not here, but she did just. Oh, she is here. Lindsay, sorry. Let's see it.
Wait. Go down.
We're going to. We're going to all go down there.
If you'll just stand up there. Just stand up there. Okay, wait.
I don't have a microphone. Oh, I guess I have a microphone down there. That's true.
John loves microphones, so.
I like it, Barry. And I like the red shirt. Go Utes. No, he can't hear him. Can't hear anything else he says. All right, Lindsay. Trevor is not here, but Trevor was on council for the year and was absolutely awesome. We'll make sure that he gets his. Hallie Harding as well. Then we had Ben Anderson. He was on for, 2 years and was also the mayor pro tem. And then big round of applause to our current mayor, has served on the Youth City Council since 2020, Holly Francis. Come on up here. Yeah. Council, you guys want to come down and take a picture with these guys? And then, no, you need to be up here. We'll have these guys take a picture.
Thank you, girls, for your service. Well, and everybody. Okay. All right, now I'm going to turn the time over to our Parks and Rec Director, Cole Stevens, for a presentation on an award.
I apologize for the casual dress. So I just came from a region champion
won?
Farmington Phoenix girls lacrosse team.
Who
So
won? Who won?
Farmington did.
All right,
So,
that's great.
yeah, it's a proud dad moment. I'll just
Awesome.
say that. So I had backup plans in case wasn't able to be here. But so we have 2 awards tonight. I'll let Chris kind of describe those awards a little bit. But I just wanted to express my appreciation to our recreation staff. They go above and beyond. I don't know if you ever drive around on an evening or a Saturday and just seeing the parks filled with kids playing, adults playing. It's because of those people sitting right there. So these 2 awards, I want to just maybe not to diminish any one of them, but I think Brian White is the spearhead behind these 2 awards that we're receiving. And so just want to give him acknowledgement for all that he's done, as well as Chris and Robin and Tracy and Harrison and Angie for all that they do for Parks and Recreation in Kaysville. I'll turn it over to Chris to kind of describe a little bit, and then turn it over to some representatives from the associations.
Chris High with Recreation. We have Utah Recreation Parks Association Director here, Leanne Powell, who will be presenting 1 award, and then also Utah Jazz Representative Caitlin Chambers. And like Cole said, we really work as a team for every project, program, or event we put on. We work together. But as he said, a shout out to Brian White for planning and implementing these 2 awards that we're receiving. So I'll turn the time over to Leanne and Caitlin. And Scott McDonald from URPA as well.
Mayor, City Council, thank you so much for having us. As Chris mentioned, my name is Leanne Powell, and I'm the Executive Director of the Utah Recreation and Parks Association. And this is Scott McDonald. He is our current past president of our association. And just a little bit of background, we represent about 1,500 Parks and Recreation professionals throughout the state of Utah. And each year we do a conference in March, and preceding conference we take nominations for a number of different awards. This year for us was record-setting. We had about 91 nominations for several categories that we do. And we get all of our past presidents in a room and let them choose who are going to be the winners from all of these nominations. And it is quite the process. But I guess just a couple of things I'd like to leave with you or impress upon you is that your Parks and Recreation staff, both Parks and Recreation, they are rock stars, and they are leaders in this state, and they are doing a great job. I feel like I have inside knowledge because I've worked with a couple of them for a lot of years. I spent 22 years in Clinton City, so kind of a neighboring city, and your Parks and Recreation has definitely built a culture of inclusiveness, reaching out and really trying to involve your entire community. And that was recognized when the past presidents got together and looked at these awards. So they are doing a great job, and they could not do that without your support, because we know it's not inexpensive to offer these programs and to build parks and to have open space and do all those things. But for every individual that they have participate in one of their programs, you are contributing to the health and wellness of your whole community. And that is so very important, and they could not do what they do without your support. So first thing is I want a little bit of a round of applause for this group. Because really what you're doing is very important, and it is about the health and wellness of your community and bringing that community together. So we appreciate that, and I am going to turn the time over to Scott to talk about this particular award.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Scott McDonald. As Leanne said, I'm the past president. I'm also the Aquatics and Fitness Director for the South Davis Recreation District in Bountiful, Utah. President is a 3-year term. I'm on my last year. of the position, and I've really just come to enjoy this part of the job, being able to come to city councils and representing some of these awards and just show off how awesome your Parks and Recreation Department is, and this is one of the favorite things I get to do. So speaking as a longtime Parks and Rec professional who does run a busy community rec center, I understand that there certainly are some challenges that come up, a lot in the last few years, certainly potentially new ones on the horizon, but while it is challenging work at times, it's also very rewarding to make a difference in your community. And you can always tell when you've got a team that's up to the task, and like Leanne said, that you've got an excellent rock star staff, and your Parks and Recreation Department is just awesome, and they do an excellent job for that. Not only just for your city, but also, as Leanne mentioned, that I think both Cole and Chris have served on the URPA board, and their staff's very active with the northern region of our association. And so we really appreciate their service to URPA and the field of Parks and Recreation. I did some checking on the awards. Kaysville won their first URPA award 25 years ago for the Barnes Park Sportsplex. And it's a fabulous facility. And overall, you guys have actually won 5 awards from URPA, and this year we'll make 6. So that's awesome. And even though I'm a Woods Cross resident, I've spent a considerable amount of time participating or going up and watching tournaments and other games. And this year I was able to register my daughter for a high school softball program, and I really appreciate that. So again, definitely thank you guys for offering that program. And I'm happy to come up and do that, and it's just been a great opportunity for us. So, and again, I want to echo Leanne on this, and we want to thank the city leadership, the city council, mayor, and management that you recognize that Parks and Recreation is essential as it provides increased quality of life and promotes a healthy lifestyle and improves mental health. What your Parks and Recreation Department does is so important to your community, and your support is very, very much appreciated. So with that, we'll get straight to the awards. So they're not easy to earn for this particular award, which is Outstanding Program. We had 12 nominations. And I think what the past presidents really liked about this program is that it incorporated the whole family. And we've seen some family-centered events over the years, and I think probably about that 25 years ago, I think was Layton did their family rec type program. But we don't see a lot that combines everything for just the family. And they really love the motto of the program, that the family that plays together stays together. And so we definitely agree with Brian. We spend too much time, or so much of time, either playing sports ourselves, shuttling our kids back and forth for them to do that we're not spending a lot of time together doing things together. So awesome idea. And I know it was a simple concept, but it definitely takes a lot of effort. So for the 2023 Outstanding Program from URPA, the Family Super Sport Program for Kaysville Recreation.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we do, but we do, but is there, yeah, we do.
We didn't know if they wanted a clean picture first.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm Caitlin Chambers. I'm with the Utah Jazz, and I oversee the Junior Jazz program. Who's been a part of Junior Jazz over the years?
My kids
Heard
have.
of it, been a part of it. This is actually our 40th season of Junior Jazz. We've had over 2 million participants throughout those 40 years. This past season, we had about 60,000 participants, and 1,500 of them came right here from Kaysville City. So that is a truly stellar number. And we are excited to present Kaysville City Parks and Recreation with the Junior Jazz Community Leader of the Year Award. And this is the first time we've actually offered this award. But we really felt that Kaysville went above and beyond, not only with their Junior Jazz program, their staff training, coach training, getting kids to practice, supporting the games, but also being a part of the community. Over the last few years, Kaysville City has been involved with the National Girls and Women in Sports Day, held in February annually. And they asked to partner with the Jazz and offer some prizes and some other things to really get girls involved with youth sports. So we'd really like to recognize them for going above and beyond. Again, Brian, I call him the ultimate girl dad. He wanted to create a way that his daughter can stand out in sports and have a path to continue playing sports into adulthood if she wants to. So
That's neat.
we really appreciate Kaysville City and your support of Parks and Recreation, and especially girls and women in sports. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, we all know those are a little,
Junior Jazz is nosebleed.
a little bit nosebleed. Hey, we give you a free popcorn though.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here. And Parks and Rec team, you guys are so outstanding. Thank you. It's a job that's not often receiving a lot of praise and appreciation, but we appreciate all that you do. That's fantastic. All right, council, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have anything that they need to declare before we move on? No? Okay. Seeing none, then let's go to consent items. We have,
Can I make a motion?
okay,
I make a motion that we approve consent items A through G.
okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, consent items passed. Let's move on to action items. The first is a resolution authorizing an appointment of Jason Christensen as the new city manager. I'll turn the time over to myself. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'll turn the...
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
As you know, over the last several months, we've gone through the selection process of the new city manager, and quite a lengthy process, interviews with department heads, interviews with a citizens committee and city council, and the selection was Jason Christensen out of Missouri. And we have a quick bio that I'd be happy to read if you'd
Sure.
like me to. Jason Christensen has over 20 years of experience in municipal management, primarily in suburban cities of the St. Louis, Missouri region. He has served as city administrator in some of the most desirable communities in Missouri, including Glendale and Frontenac. Jason grew up in Pleasant Grove and received his BA and MPA at BYU. He has a strong orientation toward delivering great customer service and is more than excited and honored to come to work in Kaysville, which already feels like home. He and his beautiful, smart, and amazing wife, I think you must have written this.
Smart man.
Heidi met at BYU and have 4 children, Zach, Kate, and Brian, and are currently in college at Alaska, BYU, and Utah State, respectively. The youngest, Aaron, will be in 8th grade this fall. All 4 are track and cross country enthusiasts, and Aaron is thrilled at the opportunity to eventually go to one of the best running schools in the entire country at Davis High. In his free time, Jason loves all kinds of music, Indian food, everything from the 80s, and adventuring anywhere with the family. So we're excited to welcome Jason as part of our team, and he will start on June 5th after the adoption of the resolution tonight.
Thank you, thank you. As many people know, Dean has been our interim city manager, and Dean, you have done and continue to do a fantastic job. We are so grateful for your service to us and for all that you've done. And just in talking to Jason and going through the robust interview process that we held, we're so excited to welcome Jason. I'm pretty sure he's listening or at least watching. I think he's watched every city council meeting since 2004, whenever we started broadcasting them. He's watched every single meeting. He's even listened to my podcast, so, you know, he's doing his job getting to know the city. So we're really excited to be able to have that happen. So, let's see. Where's the resolution for that? Do I need to read it or? No? Okay, we just need an action? Okay. All right, we have no one signed up to speak to this item. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Councilmember Adams.
I'll make a motion that we approve action item A, resolution authorizing the appointment of Jason Christensen as city manager of Kaysville, Utah.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a
second that.
second? We have a second from Councilmember Jackson. Do we have any comments? Seeing no comments, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Blackham.
Aye.
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 And I get to vote also on this one, so aye. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Jason, we're so excited to welcome you to Kaysville and can't wait for you to get here. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to action item B, preliminary plat subdivision for Carling subdivision located at 97 East Crestwood Road. Turn the time over to Community Development Director Melinda.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, so the address here is 97 East Crestwood Road. That actually is not correct because we changed the zoning to R16, so apologies for that. There's just a few properties in the city that are zoned R16, so this is kind of a fun infill project that Mr. Carling has submitted here, and will give an additional housing unit to the neighborhood, but not necessarily change the character of that area. So the lot size is 0.34 acres. It's nearly 15,000 square feet, and the R16 requires a minimum of 6,000 square feet. So there is enough space on the property to create two lots. No, I don't know what I did. Let's see.
That's a beautiful lot.
That really is.
That's not it either.
It's really nice.
Nobody's complaining about tearing down those monuments?
Down Inca Road, right?
Okay, I think I have to restart the PowerPoint, sorry. Beginning, okay.
Be here all night.
Okay, so here's an aerial shot of the property. It's located at the northwest corner of Fairfield and Crestwood Road. Here you can see the planned subdivision where they take the existing lot, kind of chop it in half and create a second lot. The Planning Commission heard this on January 12th and voted 5-0 to recommend approval. They did have one condition on the approval, which was that there currently is a shed on the property, and it's I think it's constructed of CMU block, and the plan is to cut off 2-3-4 feet of that so that it will meet the setback requirements for the zone. And once that is completed, so the condition was that has to be completed before we would record the plat. So we are recommending to the City Council that they approve the preliminary plat subdivision with that same condition. And I will open it up for any questions. The applicant is also here this evening if you have questions for Mr. Carling.
Thank you, Melinda. We don't have anyone signed up to speak to this, but we would like to invite you up to speak on your subdivision. Council, do we have any questions?
This is for your son, right? Or
Well, my name is Brian Carling. For the record, I own it. We bought it from a family that had it for many years. It is literally 99 years old. There's not a square or plumb wall in that home. Wow. But we're trying to make the best of it. A lot of the neighbors said, well, why didn't you just raise it? If we would have done that, we would have applied for multifamily. I would make a whole lot more money. But my son just lives around the corner. Yes, he wants to stay in the existing home, which, you know, we've kept what we could, but the new lot, we're hoping that, I've actually discussed it with Ivory Homes to put it on their radar, because you have to be somewhat creative. It's not a big one, but there's a lot of homes that are being put up now that are on teensy little lots. We think, even with the setbacks, it can still be a very nice lot. The views are wonderful to have a downtown area. It just needs to be, for the right buyer, that it's going to be taking their driveway off of Crestwood, where it's quieter, and it'll be a nice home, we think. We will have to take off, like they mentioned, 2 to 3 feet off of the garage. And I talked with Dan at the city, and he let me know that if and when that gets approved, that we would have to have the firewall, drywall on both sides, because that setback might be minimal, just to make sure that with R16 and the setbacks being 5 feet and the outside buildings maybe being less, we would have to make sure that we did that. So that's the goal, is my son Jason and his wife and the new little one would live in the existing, and then somebody else with a lot of money would come and build a new home on the second. But it's a very nice, clean second lot, meets the code. Kaysville looks a little better, getting some infill that has some higher density. But I think it's 71 something odd square feet. We did as best we could. We thought when we did buy the lot, it was exactly, I think 16,000 square feet on record, but when the survey was done, we found out, okay, everybody else encroached on ours, we were the last one to strike. So it was smaller than we bought. But so be it. It did get the zone changed. We hope you guys consider it, and I'm here to answer any questions on, as far as what I know the plan would be.
Okay, do we have any questions?
I'll ask you a
Councilmember
question.
Jackson?
So if you take a few feet off the garage, does that still allow the garage to be usable?
Oh yeah, it's about, I think it's 30 feet north to south.
Okay, it's a big
And
garage.
it's 24, it would be substantially expensive to replace it.
Okay, excellent.
So,
Well, I enjoy the flowers every time I drive past that corner lot, and
it's mostly weeds, but yes. The
Very
woman
natural.
that used to live there, she did a wonderful job. The flowers are still there, but they may not stay forever. The tree will stay.
Good.
Well, excellent.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Nope, okay, thank you very much. All right. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve action item B, preliminary plot subdivision for Carleen subdivision located at 97 East Crestwood Road.
Thank you, Councilmember Jackson. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Comments? Seeing no comments, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Adams.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Good luck. All right, we're on number C, an ordinance enacting a new section of City Code 17-5, water efficient landscape standards. Turn the time over to Melinda.
Mayor, council, thank you. Let's see. I wanted to just go over with the council the requirements that Weber Basin has and the state, and then the other options that are included in the ordinance. So first and foremost, I have had Weber Basin review this updated draft, and they've informed me that it will meet their requirements for having our residents eligible for that turf removal program. There is a change to the program that Weber Basin has been using, and we will be approving this just in time to have our residents eligible for a turf removal program that includes areas outside of the park strip. And what they told me just a couple days ago is the reimbursement for that will be $2.50. So the state legislature this last session set aside funding for that. And so between the state and the water conservation districts, they've met and come up with these requirements. So the ordinance that we have in place is good to go. So that's kind of the whole purpose for putting this ordinance in place, is to help our residents be eligible for, you know, changing out the landscape with more waterwise options, or waterwise landscaping. So those 4 bullet points at the top, those are what are required by the state and Weber Basin. The ordinance has a few other options in there that Weber Basin would prefer that we also limit the amount of turf placed in rear yards. So that's just a consideration point for the council to discuss tonight. That is not required, so if we just go forward with the ordinance as written that limits the turf in the front and side yards, we will be okay. The section 1752 has prohibited watering practices, and I believe on the draft that I included in the packet that it had reference comments to other areas of the code. So we could eliminate that entire section if the council wanted to. I think it's okay to have that duplicity in the ordinance and to have landscaping requirements kind of in one spot. Those other sections are coming out of the Public Works water title. So I think most people will look to this section for landscaping requirements. So I don't think there's any harm in having it in both, and I think the language that we have in 1752 is a little bit cleaner than what's in the other title. But that's something that the council can take out if that's your preference, or we can leave it in. The other item is Weber Basin would like to see a smart controller required. The kind of notion behind that is that this ordinance is applicable to individuals who are moving into a new house, new landscaping, or if they're changing out more than 50% of their landscaping. Most people will use a smart controller. It's thought that in the next few years, those controllers that are old school aren't really even going to be able to have support, and they'll probably just kind of trickle out of the market anyway. So that's not something that's required, but something that we Basin would prefer. That smart controller just has elements that can sense the moisture levels in the dirt, and it can, or in the turf, can turn off. If you're out of town and you know it's raining back here, or you know snowing in May, because that's happened, you can turn off your your irrigation from being out of town. So there's a lot of really good benefits with having that smart irrigation controller. But I just wanted to let the council know that that is not a requirement. And there was a discrepancy. I am not sure what happened, but my redlined version showed I had changed this language, but the clean copy showed that the language had not been changed. So I'm not sure what happened there, but if you want to have the smart irrigation requirement, this would be the language that I would recommend. And yeah, again, not sure what happened with that. Moving on. This was heard in front of the Planning Commission on March 23rd. They had a public hearing. The commissioners voted 6-0 to recommend approval to the City Council. They had 4 points that they wanted me to work on, and I made those changes, brought them to the council, and this was discussed at our last council meeting on April 13th. The council wanted further revisions, and so there's some bullet points there just kind of stating what changes I made. I did include that red line just because I always want to make sure that the council, if they care to, can look at what has been changed. In this instance, I really kind of tore the ordinance apart and restructured it. So it's a much better product, and thank you for giving me additional time to bring a better ordinance forth to you to hopefully approve. One of the items that the Planning Commission wanted was to have a graphic to show people what is front, side, and rear yard. And so this is the graphic that we'll include in the ordinance, and that should help people understand where those...
Sorry.
Councilmember Adams?
You tell me, John, which way is north? Excuse me, Councilmember Adams. So our recommendation tonight is to approve the ordinance. Again, going back, there's a couple different options. If you want to include the smart controller, if you want to include limiting turf in the rear yard, that is definitely up to the council's discretion. But other than that, I will answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. We don't have anyone signed up to speak to this, so I will just make a little comment here, and then I'll turn it over to comments. If we're not required to limit turf and rear yards, and we're not required to add a smart controller requirement, I would suggest that we don't do that. For a couple reasons, I think that it gives people some options, and really with the cost of subscriptions being so crazy, I just hate the fact that someone has to eventually maybe have a subscription to have everything. So anyway, that's just my 2 bits on that. Councilmember Blackham.
I thoroughly appreciate the work that Melinda has done on this and rewritten this ordinance, because this makes a lot more sense. And the concerns that Mr. Starkey had is already been corrected in this revision, because it says specifically that it strongly recommends, and then under the irrigation controller it says landscaped areas should, doesn't say shall, it said should, but gives you the option. And I did check into the costs of some of those, and they can get up there pretty high in costs, and you got to have a good internet to even make them work. Like, I'll be honest with you, my internet wouldn't probably work one, but somebody else's might that has fiber or something. But anyway, I appreciate it. I like it. It's turned to a minimalistic ordinance, but still gets the people the opportunity to do the Flip Your Strip program, which is what they truly, really wanted. And it gives good guidelines to landscaping a yard at their pace, at their cost. And so I really appreciate it, and I like the way it is written, the way it is.
What are your thoughts on this?
Councilmember Oaks.
Yeah, so I would echo Councilmember Blackham's thanks. So I appreciate it. Easy to read, made sense, and it was worth. I'm glad that we tabled it for a couple more weeks. So the one question I have was, so Flip the Strip last year I thought was a Weber Basin program, and we have 3 different waters. So is it a state program? Where does the funding come for that? So if I'm in Hates Creek, is there funding for people who live in Hates Creek District?
So anyone who is in the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District service area and has had their municipality or county adopt an ordinance is eligible.
Okay.
Hates gets their water from Weber, I think.
Yeah.
So that's all of us. That's Kaysville.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
so Weber Basin is the water wholesaler, and then we purchase the water from them for our culinary and deliver it. The irrigation companies purchase the water from Weber Basin and deliver the water to the residents. To answer your question, it is both now a state program and a conservancy district program. So last year, the reimbursement rate was $1.25. That was all coming from Weber Basin's funding. This year, the state has added additional funding for that, and that's where they're getting the $2.50 per square foot. So it's doubling the reimbursement amount, but not only that, it's making, so if somebody wanted to come and remove, as an example, on our side yard in the front, we have, I don't know, it's probably like a 10 by 12 area of grass that really doesn't serve anything. And so if we wanted to flip our strip and take out that part as well, and maybe do some xeriscaping in the part in front of our house, we would be eligible to be reimbursed for that entire portion of the turf removal. If you meet, you have to meet Weaver Basin's requirements, but previously the program was only for the park strips. So this is expanded. Cities who passed the ordinance last year, a lot of them had to go back and update the ordinance because the state, when they added that money in, had additional requirements that had to be met.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, just for quick clarification. So Weber Basin, they added the side yard as well as the front yard outside of that park strip. The other options we have, 35% of turf in the rear yards, limiting that. If someone were to not only do their front and side yard of the 35% and park strip, if they also did the rear of the yard, the backyard, would they be able to qualify for any reimbursement going above and beyond from the state or the county?
So I believe so, but I am not an expert in the Weber Basin program. So I don't want to misspeak, but I believe the intent of the state adding in those additional dollars is to incentivize people further to do turf removal in areas outside of the park strip. So I think they would want, if somebody wanted to do that, you could take your grass out, put a pickleball court in. A lot of folks in my neighborhood have done that. So I think yes, but I'm not entirely sure. And that would be a question that Weber Basin would need to answer.
Okay.
Melinda, would that have to be in our ordinance to qualify for the backyard? No, right?
No.
Okay, so we don't have to make it a requirement, but if they
Right.
did it at their own option, they may qualify. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if they wanted to work on rear yards, I think Weber Basin would appreciate that. So one of the nice things about this, and we had a couple of residents here this last time, this could help people in HOAs that don't have funding to keep up with grass maintenance and all of that, be able to remove turf and get some portion back. So I think this is a great option. I did have conversations with Weber Basin about their preference with the rear yard, and I think really the intent of this is to get this in place and to start people, or to get people to start working on that. We did discuss that in Kaysville. We have a lot of large properties, and so that percentage, when you start looking at lots that are a lot larger, gets really limiting. And so that's kind of where they're not requiring that. They're kind of just leaving that up to the individual residents. I think there have been some cities that have passed that, but we're not required to. So that's just purely, if the council wants to, we can add that in.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Jackson?
Another point. I guess two more things. So the 17-5-2 prohibited watering practices, that's already listed within our code, correct? And that's just kind of a duplicate reminder that you're adding to the options.
Yeah, let me drag this over so I can show where. So these notes that were off to the side showed where a corresponding portion of Title IX was, sorry, it's hard to see. Okay, there we go. All I can see is Councilmember Adams' head and not where to minimize and maximize the document, so, which is a lovely view. I mean, I can't complain. So this entire section is optional. This is already in our code in that Title IX. I mean, essentially these requirements are already in place. I just feel they're more clearly stated in this chapter, and also it's kind of your one-stop shop to have that here. My department, I mean, actually I'm not even going to say that. So Chapter 9 is a Public Works title. This is zoning, so this is where I think most people would look.
That's helpful. Okay.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Just real quick.
Sorry.
Okay,
That's all right.
Councilmember Adams
No.
had
The only
something
thing
to
that I had, I mean, I was okay with 17-5-2 because it's already in the ordinances. The other two things, I wondered, being an ordinance aficionado, as you are, does it make any sense to say those two things as like encourage? Or does it make any sense to even have something in there that you're just encouraging? Because if it doesn't, I'd say we scratch them. But if you think that there's some benefit to saying, we would encourage you to, 35% or encourage you, then maybe that's appropriate to, just to set the standard that we're trying to encourage people to do what they can. But otherwise, I would say let's scratch the other two things.
So are you speaking about like this section right
Your
here?
beginning, your first slide where you said the requirements, there was the requirement section, and then
Okay.
there's the other section. I'm okay with the 17-5-2,
Okay.
but the other two, only feel comfortable if they're in there saying like we encourage, if it
Okay,
makes
gotcha.
sense to have those types of things.
It kind of says that right there.
So, yeah,
Well, it is just encouraged then.
Yeah.
So then it's almost
already
fine.
there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Okay.
Okay,
Then
we're good.
then Mike can make a motion.
Okay. Councilmember
Or
Blackham.
Blackham.
All right, I make a motion that we adopt an ordinance enacting a new section of City Code 17.5 water efficiency landscape as written in the clean copy of the agenda.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Comments? Seeing no comments, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunt.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much, council members. Thank you, Melinda. All right, do we have any council member reports?
I do.
Councilmember Blackham.
So, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this too, because when this was first brought up to our council a long time ago, it was one of those things where I was, oh man, we're losing tax dollars, we're doing all this, and that. But we got this invitation to go down to the Davis Catalyst, and I went down there, and I spent about quite a while with a nice young lady by the name of Natalie Stromberg, who gave me a tour of that place. And I was absolutely flabbergasted at what they are doing for kids who are smart kids
Well,
in our
and-
school district.
And regular kids as well.
Yeah.
And regular kids.
them.
But I mean,
But-
when you get to this
Uniquely
catalyst, these are kids who kind of have a focus, need more challenging things to do, but helps them get into a career field that you may not get. I've always said I'm not sure why they even have 12th grade in high school, but I probably shouldn't say that.
Because 12th would turn into 11th. It was just-
Yeah, so, but I was impressed, and they are more than willing to partner up. And I know our mayor has been down there a bunch of times. They know her very well. She knows all of them, and she's gone down there and talked to them. And I mean, if you want to make a video for some reason, they'll do that. Did you already have them do that or anything? You probably have.
They actually have done one for
Yeah,
us,
done
yes.
for
But they'll
us
do
and that.
podcasts, they'll do all kinds of
They'll
things.
do all kinds of things,
do.
but it's just, and it was so neat because they had all the students there. Oh, and they cook food every day. You go down there and purchase their food. You can go down and buy their food every day. They actually have a culinary kitchen and skills, and they cook food and they sell it right there. You go in and get it, and
Full catering service.
it is. And they have music. They have news. People just a lot of really neat. They have kids who have started their own small businesses, and they're teaching them how to make them work and what to do with them. So if you ever do get the opportunity, they do another open house. I don't know, maybe all of you went that night, but
It's awesome.
I've apologized to John because he says, no, this is the greatest thing ever. It's education. He was right. It is a good
Yes,
feeling.
he said it.
Yeah, he was right.
Record that right
Yeah,
now.
But
Record it.
I was really, really impressed with what they're doing down there for these kids who need a little more. I mean, you hear about kids in high school who are bored with what they're doing. This gives these kids an opportunity to actually progress in the field that they may choose to do. So anyway, I thought I'd bring that up.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Councilmember Blackham. I'm glad that you were able to go down there. Anyone else have anything?
My lights on.
Oh, Councilmember Adams.
My midichlorian count, I got it tested the other day, and it's 10,000. So may the 4th be with you. That's all I have to say.
That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share? No? Okay. Please, anybody? Okay. City Manager, do you have anything you'd like to share? Okay. All right.
What time?
9 o'clock.
9. Okay. I had 8:30, so I'm glad I asked.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Look at that, man. Right on the, no, I just remember.
Okay. That's 8 o'clock on the dot, man.
It's education. They get whatever they want. And I was like,